Our butts are saved, Patrick. Now all we have to... Patrick! No! Patrick, no! Why did you put it... Ah! Grab it, Pat! Grab it! Hurry! Hurry! No, Pat, no! Get it, Pat! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! Get it! No!
Want a bite?
What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown, and if you're new here, welcome. So, if you have not seen my recent video on Matt Ryan, I do suggest that you watch that because I think that video actually aged pretty well, and it was actually perfect timing too, because the one criticism I had on Matt Ryan in 2020 is he doesn't really make the game-winning decision easy. He actually makes it harder than it should be. Like, he's throwing to receivers that he just shouldn't throw it to. And literally the game after I make that video against the Chargers, he had not one, but two opportunities to at least put us in field goal range. And both times he just throws these two dumb picks that he didn't need to throw. And I'm just like, that's what I've been saying about Matt Ryan, man. Like, he's a good quarterback. He'll put up great numbers. He'll keep you alive. He will do a lot of great things. But my goodness, he is not clutch anymore. Like, he just makes the game-winning decision so much harder than it should be. And that is all he proved against the Chargers. So, with Matt Ryan's mistakes, is it time to draft a quarterback in the first round of the 2021 draft? Let's get into that starting right now. Well, let me begin by saying this. I don't think a quarterback is the number one position you should aim for in the first round of the 2021 draft. I think the Falcons' main focus should be on either secondary or pass rush. You know, with pass rush, it's pretty simple. Dante Fowler is just not really the answer. Takk McKinley got released. And honestly, man, Marlon Davidson is not really having himself any luck in the NFL, at least in his first year. I'm willing to give him, another chance, but man, it's not really looking so good. So I think you would obviously need to go for a pass rush there. And then for secondary, they've definitely had themselves a pretty solid season. Like, Keanu Neal is excellent so far. Even Isaiah Oliver is bouncing back. And AJ Terrell, I will definitely go ahead and say that I was wrong about him. But let's not really ignore the fact that Ricardo Allen and Keanu Neal still have some injury concerns. Let's not act like it's not there. And then with Isaiah Oliver, how much can we really trust he's going to stay the way he is? So, I think you would need to go for secondary as well. And also, DeMonte KZ is just not the answer. But anyway, if you went for quarterback in the first round of the 2021 draft, do I think that's what the Falcons should do? No. I don't think Matt Ryan is a quarterback that is seriously just so bad where you need to kick him off the team or draft a quarterback and start him over Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan's bad to do that. But I will say, I honestly would not hate it if the Falcons went for quarterback in the first round of the draft. To be honest with you, actually, that would be the third position I'd go for in the first round of the draft. I think it would be pass rush, then secondary, and then quarterback. Now, obviously, why would I actually be okay? I'm not saying they should do that right away, but if they went for quarterback, why would that actually be okay in my eyes? Well, let's go ahead and say, obviously, we do know that Matt Ryan's time is coming to an end. Matt Ryan is not going to be here for much longer. So, obviously, it doesn't really hurt to prepare for the future. But another thing is, with all due respect to Matt Ryan, I don't hate Matt Ryan. I have so many videos going over good things about him, like why he could win league MVP in 2020, which is not going to happen, by the way. But and then, why he should have made the all-decade team. this and that. Like, I always talk good about Matt Ryan most of the time, so I don't hate Matt Ryan, and in fact, I think he should be the starting quarterback next year in 2021. But with all due respect, man, he is not really having himself a good year in 2020, and you know what, I think I've kind of gotten to the point on YouTube to where, if I say something that people don't agree with, it's just, at the end of the day, it's an opinion. If, we don't agree with each other, that's fine. We're human beings, we're not perfect. We don't always end up being right and wrong, but this is just my opinion. If people don't agree with it, then that's fine. This is just what I see. If I'm wrong about it, I'm wrong about it. If I'm right, I'm right. But anyway, you guys want to hear what it is. So, my honest take about Matt Ryan in 2020, and actually this is kind of my stance on him ever since 2017 too. He is not a bad quarterback. Like, he is not a quarterback to where you're just going to be a bottom-dwelling team. But he's not really the quarterback that's going to elevate you to the next level either. Yeah, I actually said it. He's just a quarterback that, at least since 2017, he doesn't really elevate you to the next level. Like, he kind of just keeps your team afloat. And why do I say that? Well, because, listen, man, when his team is really good, he's really good. But when his team is really bad, he is really bad. And I know that sounds really obvious, but that actually should not really be the case, because I don't think anyone's sitting here debating if quarterback is the number one important position on offense, maybe even on the whole team. But anyway, yeah, you really need a quarterback to elevate your team to the next level. And there's 3 excuses on Matt Ryan that I just feel everyone kind of gives to him. And I just feel like all of these excuses are getting to the point where they're not really aging well. And it's maybe kind of time to start looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, is Matt Ryan just simply not the quarterback we think he is? Because the 3 excuses that a lot of people seem to give him is he doesn't have a defense, he doesn't have a good coaching staff, or the players around him aren't doing their job. Those are always the 3 excuses everyone wants to give Matt Ryan. And, for a while I actually agreed. Like, for a while I actually was on board with that, but this year I'm just kind of like thinking, are those really the reasons Matt Ryan's not elevating this team? Because let's start with, he doesn't have a defense. First off, he does have a defense in 2020. The only reason people think he doesn't is because early in the year in 2020, when Dan Quinn was the coach, we were actually terrible. Like, we were miserable. And then as soon as Dan Quinn gets released, the Falcons defense is actually really freaking good. It's a good defense. The secondary is coming alive. The linebackers are great, man. Like Deion Jones and Foye Oluokun. And even the pass rush is there. So actually, the defense is there for Matt Ryan. And then, excluding our defense in general, you can't really always blame it on, oh, he doesn't have a defense. Because, think about it this way, man. Russell Wilson this year, terrible defense. He has an awful freaking defense. But somehow he is still elevating his team to winning games. Granted, his defense has gotten a little better, but it's safe to say early in the year when they weren't a good defense, and frankly they aren't even a good defense, it's just they're better. But anyway, Russell Wilson is doing a really good job of elevating his team to the next level, even with a bad defense. And then with Patrick Mahomes, I don't think anyone's sitting here saying the Chiefs have a great defense. But, as we saw from last year, and probably again this year, Patrick Mahomes is the type of quarterback to lead your team to the playoffs even without a defense. So that's kind of out of the way in my head. So we can't really say it's that Matt Ryan doesn't have a defense. Well then, what about he doesn't have a coaching staff? I think that also just can't really always be the case, man, because, you know, like, I am not denying that the coaching staff is the number one issue on the Falcons. Because, yes, Dirk Cutter is trash. He sucks. He is an awful offensive coordinator. Raheem Morris should not be the head coach for the Falcons next year. And yes, most of the time, the offense fails because of their offensive coordinator. I am not denying that one. But at some point, you have to realize you can't always put the blame on the coaching staff. Because I think a lot of people act like Matt Ryan is some robot. Like, they're like, oh, well, he threw it to him because his coach said so, and that's why it's an interception. Listen, Matt Ryan is not Matt Robot. Matt Ryan is a human being, and he has played football his whole freaking life. He should know that if his receiver that he's supposed to throw it to is not open, he should not throw it to him anyway. And by the way, just because a coach says you should throw it to him doesn't mean that you shouldn't throw it to anyone else. It's really just the coaches recommending you throw it to a certain player. It's not really them saying you should ignore every other receiver. Let's not get that mixed up. Like, yeah, you know, whatever, the coaches tell Matt Ryan, oh, yeah, you should probably throw it to him on this play. But they're not excluding any other receivers, just they're recommending that's who you should throw it to. And Matt Ryan, yet again, he's not a robot. He should know that if his receiver is not open, he should not throw it to him. As you saw from my last video, against the Panthers, no receiver was open. You do not need to throw it to Russell Gage if he's not open. If he's about to get sacked, okay, throw it away. And then either try again on 4th and 4 to get a touchdown in the red zone, or just kick the field goal. You know, you get the idea. Like, it wasn't over. Like, you don't have to be this hero and hope for the best when you throw this. And then, you know, against the Chargers, just, oh, the coaches tell him to do that. They recommend him to do that. But Matt Ryan should know if his receiver is not open, he should not throw it to him. It's not that hard. It's common sense. So now I can't really sit here and say, you know, like, sure, the coaching staff is the number one issue on the Falcons, but it's not the only issue on the Falcons. So I can't really say it's the coaching staff's fault for Matt Ryan's mistakes. And then the last one, oh, his receivers and playmakers don't do the job. As we saw against the Chargers, Matt Ryan just, first off, lobs it up to Calvin Ridley double covered. That's just already a bad idea. You should look for someone else. Second, he's just like expecting Calvin Ridley to jump and get that, when I love Ridley, but he is not the type of receiver to just get these jump ball, really hard to catch balls. Like, not yet at least. And everyone's like, oh, it's Ridley's fault. He should have jumped. When everyone knew he was not the frickin' receiver to jump and get that. And then, you know, against the Eagles, in almost every game we've played, but the two that are, you know, there, you know, like the 2018 season opener and then the 2017 divisional round against the Eagles, both times people are like, oh, Julio Jones should have caught it. No, actually, that was really tough. He was probably double-teamed. I can't remember if he was double-teamed or not in the season opener, but either way, man, he just was not open, like, at all. So, no, Julio Jones should not catch that. Matt Ryan should look for someone else. And then in the 2017 playoff game, yeah, you know, whatever, Julio Jones could have caught it, but even still, like, I don't even think that was your, like, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like surely there was a better option. Now, the only thing I will admit on that play is, yes, that was a pretty bad play call. Matt Ryan's not really the quarterback to just scramble around and find someone. So, yes, that was a bad play call. But, no, Matt Ryan, like, if you aren't able to throw a tight window kind of throw to Julio Jones, then don't throw it. I don't know, man. I think those 3 excuses on Matt Ryan, you know, you can't always put the blame on anyone else. And also, another last thing to note about the players don't do their job, you need to have a quarterback that at least helps them out. Like, like with the Green Bay Packers, say what you want, but the Packers do not have receivers at all. But at least Aaron Rodgers is doing his job to at least help them out, man. Like, and then with the Seahawks, DK Metcalf is great and all, but outside of him, who do you really have? At least Russell Wilson's doing his job. Matt Ryan, listen, he is an awesome quarterback. He's an elite quarterback, honestly. Like, he's a really good quarterback, but my goodness, man, he is just not really the quarterback to elevate your team to the next level. And I know that might make you think, well, why did you say he's an elite quarterback? Well, because at least when he does get the right things around him, he does really good. There's some quarterbacks to where if you just don't, if you give them every help possible, they just don't do well. Like Mitch Trubisky has a lot of help in front of him, but he just doesn't do good. And then, even Nick Foles, say what you want, but man, he's just not the quarterback to excel. Like, say what you want, but, at least Matt Ryan can freaking take advantage of what he's got, for crying out loud. And even if he doesn't have the help, I'm not saying Matt Ryan's a bad quarterback, but he just hasn't really, he just doesn't really elevate them to the next level. And then, here, I know I keep saying this, but I promise this is the last example. With the Chiefs, when Alex Smith was in, like, the receivers were there. Like, they had Tyreek Hill, they had Travis Kelce, and heck, they had Kareem Hunt as an elite running back catching the ball too. But Alex Smith is just not the quarterback to just all of a sudden elevate their team to the next level. Well, all of a sudden when they have Patrick Mahomes, they are elevated to the next level and they kind of sort of win a Super Bowl. So, yeah, man, like, Matt Ryan does his job. He's a hard worker. He's a good guy. I like Matt Ryan. But there are some things that I feel do need to be said about Matt Ryan. So I'm going to end this off by saying, no, I'm not a Matt Ryan hater. I think you need to keep Matt Ryan and at least give him another shot, because I don't think he's that bad to sit or release. But there are some things about him that I do think need to be said. And I hope that the things that I pointed out make sense. And, again, man, if none of it makes sense, it's just, I've gotten to the point where, you know what, man, I said what I said. Just, if people don't agree, man. It's a sports opinion. Let's not cause a riot here. Anyway, thank you for listening. I will see you guys this Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Love and appreciate you all for the support. As always, rise up.